I'm making this video in defense of Alex Jones, because every time we hear about him from the corporate media, it's always them highlighting his ridiculous moments, and they completely ignore the times where he's actually right about things, which happens a lot. Look at this video that makes fun of him. It has 3.4 million views. Scroll down to the comments, and everyone is pointing out how poorly this video aged. He's actually a really good reporter, even though he's a ridiculous entertainer at the same time. So it's this cognitive dissonance that makes the average person not really understand Alex Jones very well. I think we're done with those days where we can laugh at people who believe these certain ideas and start to kind of come around and be like, okay, they're right about a lot of things. Even the average person is coming around to this information. So let's continue this movement and let's go over this video.
And today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 ridiculous Alex Jones moments.
He loves defrauding the bitches. He loves slapping them upside the head and having them beg him for more.
Before we begin,
Okay, we're missing some context.
Publish new videos every day, so be sure to subscribe for more great content. For this list, we're looking at some of Jones' most outrageous and unbelievable conspiracies and bizarre rants.
After you're done drinking your little juices, well, you're ready to go out and have a baby.
Number 10, Pizzagate.
Okay, I know hardcore liberals and Trump haters who actually looked into Pedogate themselves, and they ended up believing it as well. It's very suspicious. For example, CNN told the populace that it's illegal to look at these emails, even though it's not. So they completely lied to the people, they've never done that before. And you look at these emails, and it'll say things like John Podesta's staff emailing John saying, hey, I found this handkerchief with a map on it, and I believe it's pizza related. They were speaking in code using pizza and walnut sauce, words like this in contexts that didn't make any sense. And if you look really into it, you keep making these patterns and you're like, wow, this sounds like trafficking. And they keep talking about children in odd ways too. It's very strange. It's honestly very depressing. But it's some real stuff, and it's sad, and I think that's why the average person doesn't want to look into it.
Anthony Weiner is going to be investigated for child porn on his phone and contacting minors.
The 2016
And that's true. Weiner had child porn on his phone.
American presidential race was characterized by much controversy and mudslinging. But even so, this was one seriously out there accusation. When the Podesta emails leaked, and there were several mentions of pizza and pizza-related phrases, an odd theory began to take shape. Following the logic outlined by online forums and far-right news sites, Alex Jones proceeded to explore the possibility of a...
if you're a detective looking into this stuff, you're not just going to throw away an email because they're like, oh, they're just talking about pizza. Don't mean nothing. You'd be a terrible detective. You'd be fired.
Satanic pedophilia ring that was connected not only to the Clintons, but also to a pizza...
See, look, and they showed Jimmy Savile here, and it's like Jimmy Savile was caught, luring girls, little girls, and raping... This guy raped so many little kids, children. And that's mainstream news. That's not a conspiracy. And he got away with it, too. He was really good friends with the royal family. Princess Diana, she went out, said publicly, I really don't like this Jimmy Savile guy and how close he is to the royals. Lord Mountbatten was a royal, and he also was a known pedophile. And Jimmy Savile would hang out with his family all the time. He was knighted by the Queen. He was an advisor to Princess Diana's husband when they were going through their little issues. That was before my time. I don't know too much about it, but I know Jimmy Savile's close relation with the family.
Called Comet Ping Pong.
Satanic rituals, royal family. Mainstream news, folks.
After a shooting occurred at the restaurant, where thankfully no one was hurt, Alex actually issued a rare apology and retraction on behalf of Infowars.com.
I made comments about Mr. Alefantis that in hindsight I regret and for which I apologize to him.
Number 9, Machete Race Wars.
Do you understand that you politically put yourself in the criminal zone, potentially, if violence breaks out from this film?
Machete is a 2010 grindhouse film written and directed by Robert Rodriguez. The story is about a former federale who's hired to assassinate a Texas senator. Turns out the whole thing was a setup, and so Danny Trejo's character must get his revenge. According to Alex Jones, however, the images and depictions of violence against white people were sure to cause an uprising by the Hispanic community.
Robert Rodriguez, I would say it's a 90% chance right now, is going to trigger racial riots and racial killings.
He actually said there was a...
Sometimes Jones can sound a little bit hyperbolic, but there definitely is a lot of racial tension in the United States, and a lot of it's created by the media. When the media says, like, they talk about Nazis all the time, they basically say they're around every corner and they have all this power, when in reality, they don't. I've never met a Nazi, and I've met a lot of people, even the people that, like, they accuse of being Nazis. It's like, if you actually, like, listen to their streams and stuff, they're really not. And they blow these things out of proportion. They're always trying to create enemies when they're not actually there. There's movies like, you know, like Get Out, which maybe is a good movie. I haven't seen it, but I know what it's about. I know that there's movies about, like, hunting Trump supporters. There was that one film. I haven't seen it. I'm not a big movie guy, but there's a lot of racial tension just in the United States, and that didn't come out of nowhere.
90% chance the movie would cause a race war. Well, maybe not enough Mexican Americans saw it because nothing happened.
You've been given the green light to create a race riot film, to create division in this nation so the globalists can play whites and Hispanics and others off against each other.
Number 8, government-controlled weather.
In the next 10 minutes, I'm going to break down a subject so incredibly important, I don't even feel worthy to bring you this information.
This was a subject so important that Jones said he wasn't worthy to bring us the information about it. Humility be damned, however, he did it anyway. Jones starts off by claiming that, quote, a whole host of strange and radioactive chemicals have been added to jet fuel since the 1990s.
A whole host of radioactive isotopes, aluminum dioxide, the list goes on and on.
Their purpose? Why, to manipulate the weather, of course. Not only that...
Okay, Dubai has weather manipulation technology. Like, this was a few years ago before the creator of this channel knew about weather modification, but that is mainstream science at this point. So again, this video aged very poorly.
But he goes on to claim that these chemicals actually create holes in the atmosphere and damage the soil.
Yeah, it's not good for the atmosphere, obviously.
But the scientists, meteorologists, astrophysicists, and others that I've talked to have said what they're spraying and releasing would actually eat holes in the atmosphere and damage the soils of the planet.
As the cherry on top of this piece of hard-hitting investigative journalism, he warns that government weapons...
Yeah, he highlighted cloud seeding here, and that's mainstream science.
Their weapons, such as HARP, could be used to cause natural disasters like earthquakes and the Oklahoma tornado.
They're messing with the weather. They're buying armored vehicles and billions of rounds of...
Bill Gates said not too long ago that he wishes to block out the sun in order to stop CO2 emissions. Like, this is stuff that, like, these people in power do discuss. They literally do. So it's worth pointing it out.
Ammo and have TV shows bad-mouthing the founding fathers.
Number 7, Satanists taking over America.
The New World Order, I guess, has read that God's going to destroy the earth next time by fire.
We're not really sure what they ever did to him, but Alex Jones sure dislikes Satanists.
I mean, if there's Satanists with a lot of control in positions of power, it's like, of course we're not going to like them. I mean, the Rothschilds have been pictured in front of giant mosaics of Lucifer. The Rothschilds have been pictured with, like, giant Baphomet necklaces on them. Look this stuff up yourself. Use Yandex.com if you need to use a search engine that's a little bit more efficient than Google. But, I mean, I could go on and on. There's so many examples.
According to Jones, the demonic high-tech tyranny of the New World Order is led by Satanist elites who create economic and health crises in order to advance their agenda of world domination.
And if you believe the Bible, it's being run by an ancient, powerful entity with super advanced intelligence.
This group of Illuminati has links to Hillary Clinton, Marina Abramovich, and Lady Gaga.
Yeah, I mean, Marina Abramovich, who was that one ritualistic Satanist who publicly uses real human semen, feces, and blood, mixes it together in a vat and says that it's art. But she is really close with Lady Gaga, and she talks about how she's into magic rituals. She's an occultist, and she was found in these emails, the Pizzagate emails, and she was invited to John Podesta's home. Like, that's information you can find on WikiLeaks, which CNN says is illegal, so be careful when going on there. But, yeah, she's very suspicious. She's been pictured with the Rothschilds in front of their pictures of Lucifer as well.
In fact, he claimed that Gaga's Super Bowl halftime show was a cover for satanic rites. Come to think of it, if you squint your eyes and tilt your head, it did kind of resemble a satanic ritual.
It looks a little ritualistic. Probably sucking some loosh out of the fans. I can see it.
Number 6, the Pierce Morgan debate.
How?
You're a hatchet man of the New World Order. Okay. You're a hatchet man.
Things got a...
I mean, this is just objectively awesome. Like, nobody likes CNN, especially in 2022. So for someone to go on there and belittle them, like Pierce Morgan, what a chotch. I mean, how do you not like the guy? Come on.
A little heated when Alex Jones debated Pierce Morgan on CNN about gun control. America is among the world leaders when it comes to gun-related deaths, and this reality has led to some pretty polarizing points of view on the subject.
There have been bombings of Wall Street.
Let me ask you a second.
Are we going to listen? Why can't the pilots have firearms? We trust them to fly the planes.
In classic Alex Jones fashion, he has some reasonable points about the need for firearms, but he muddies it all up with conspiracy theories and rants about Castro, global tyranny, and illegal immigrants. Jones nearly bursts a blood vessel talking about a new 1776 if his firearms are taken away.
Hitler took the guns. Stalin took the guns. Mao took the guns. Fidel Castro took the guns. Hugo Chavez took the guns. And I'm here to tell you, 1776 will commence again if you try to take our firearms.
Number 5, Joker cosplay.
Why so serious?
Who doesn't enjoy dressing up as their favorite comic book character?
Damn it, Creed. I've been up since 4.
Alex Jones likes to do it and rant about Obama. In a truly unsettling segment, Alex dresses as the Joker.
Look, Alex Jones is an entertainer, and he's like, okay, this is going to be entertaining. It's going to get me a lot of views. He's silly.
From Christopher Nolan's 2008 film The Dark Knight, doing his best imitation of the character that wowed audiences with his unhinged and maniacal behavior. The InfoWars host starts the segment with a seriously chilling laugh, and things just get weirder from there.
What's fun is laughing right back at these psychopathic bastards and telling them that we know exactly who they are and exactly what they're doing.
Still in costume, he hits the streets, offering $1,000 to anyone who videotapes themselves putting up flyers of Barack Obama made up to look like the iconic Bat villain. Anyone else confused?
Look at them out there. They're pathetic. Just like the Joker himself is pathetic.
Number 4, goblins. Look, goblins are a serious problem. Anyone who's seen The Hobbit can tell you that. Or how about Jareth, that no-good baby-stealing goblin king from Labyrinth? In theory, we agree with Jones on this one, but he loses us when he starts talking about kissing goblins or getting in bed with a goblin. In this talk about Trump, Jones weaves an intricate and very detailed metaphor about the dangers of associating with certain political elites.
So I never expected Trump charging into a goblin's nest to not get some goblin vomit and slop and blood on him. I just don't want to catch him in bed with a goblin.
The rant gets...
Okay, yeah, I mean, that's true. And Watch Mojo even said, like, we agree with you in theory. I mean, he went into a system that's corrupt to the core. And it's like, you're going to get your hands a little dirty.
It's hysterical, however, when he seemingly gets lost in his own metaphor. But hey, goblins are an interesting topic of conversation. Even the best of us get sidetracked when talking about them.
I don't want to see him kissing goblins, having political succubus with goblins. I don't want to
Yeah, he got too into his metaphor. It got a little weird.
see him ingratiating goblins.
Number 3, BBC Sunday Politics.
So now we know
Infowars.com.
now we know that Bilderberg has given us the euro.
Things sure can get weird when two worlds collide, huh? In this segment, the realm of real-world news and journalism smashes straight into the conspiracy tornado land of InfoWars and Alex Jones. During this BBC segment, fellow guest David Aronovich takes him to task, pointedly asking Jones why it is that he's been allowed to live if he is in fact uncovering all of these New World Order conspiracies.
Okay, the system has other ways to deal with dissenters other than just killing them. That's like the last thing they want to do because it's messy. They can do like character assassinations. Take for example Julian Assange. He's the one who exposed WikiLeaks, and the system said that he was like a sexual predator or something terrible about him that ended up not being true. So they can easily, and that's way more easy to do, to utilize the news system to destroy someone's character than to just kill them.
Which is the explanation? One, they don't exist.
or two, you're part of the conspiracy?
No, let me tell you a story.
A fair question, but rather than answer it, Jones flies off the rails. Of course, Jones also uses this as an opportunity to name drop his website, Infowars.com, every other sentence. Infowars.com.
Infowars.com. Liberty is rising.
You're watching the
Liberty
Sunday
is
Politics.
rising.
We have an idiot on the
Freedom will
program
not
today.
stop. You will
Coming
not
up
stop
in just
freedom.
20 minutes.
You will not stop the republic. Humanity is awakening.
Number 2, Hillary Clinton and the pickle jar.
She supposedly opens a can of pickles.
After suffering a severe medical episode during her presidential campaign, Hillary Clinton staged several bizarre stunts designed to prove her health. One of these stunts, clearly meant to be in good fun, involved her opening a pickle jar on Jimmy Kimmel Live. Believe it or not, Alex claimed the whole thing was fake because he didn't hear a pop.
You would hear the pop of the can.
He also points out that pickled vegetables have a top that doesn't turn all the way around like...
All right, he's just simply pointing out that they probably loosened the lid for her a little bit just to make damn sure that she was able to open that for their little bit, which they probably did.
the jar in the segment. Her appearance on the late night show was clearly political theater, but being a few pickles short of a jar himself, Alex Jones just took the conspiracy theory too far.
There's no pop. She acts like it pops at the end. This is completely and totally fake.
Before we unveil our number one pick, here are some honorable mentions.
He loves betraying people. He gets off on it. He's committed to Satan. And the film rolls couldn't come to the Van Allen radiation belt. They had to broadcast back a TV signal. So they did doctor up photos and stuff for the public.
See, 666 is a doubling of 33, and 33 is pi.
Number one,
All right, he's not the best at math.
gay frogs. A recurring theme on Jones' show is the conspiracy that the United States government is actively trying to turn things gay. In one segment, for example, he claimed that the chemical lining in juice boxes is meant to turn kids into homosexuals.
But the reason there's so many gay people now is because it's a chemical warfare operation. I have the government documents where they said they're going to encourage homosexuality with chemicals so that people don't have children.
Most famously, however, he asserted that the U.S. has a gay bomb, which it has already used.
If you're a new listener, just type in Pentagon tested gay bomb on Iraq. They can...
All right. So what Jones was trying to allude to here is there was some scientific study where they looked at these frogs that were introduced to a chemical called atrazine, which is a really common chemical, and it found that it increased their estrogen levels by a lot and reduced their testosterone to the point where they actually changed, the sexes of these frogs changed. They changed from male to female. And this atrazine and chemicals like it is found in our processed food. It's found in the chemical linings of things like our juice boxes. And it's like, well, you look at the testosterone levels of men these days, and the average testosterone level of like someone my age would be the average level of like an 80-year-old in 1920. I mean, they're just plummeting. So that could be a factor there. In regards to that gay bomb, I have not looked into that myself, but maybe they added this like estrogen-inducing chemical to these bombs and used them in Iraq. I could see that happening potentially if these chemicals exist. I mean, we have these chemicals available for transsexual people when they're transitioning so that they, turn more into a female. So I could see a maniacal government definitely using them on their enemies. I mean, what's more messed up than that, than having your enemies grow boobs and increase their estrogen?
No, they didn't consider using it. They've used it on our troops.
A side effect of these weapons of mass homosexuality is that the runoff chemicals in the water are turning the frogs gay.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
We're not sure how he knows the true feelings of our amphibian
I mean, that's just funny. Come on.
friends, but we'll take his word for it. Either way, Alex Jones clearly won't stand for it anymore.
Serious crap. I'm sick of being social engineered. It's not funny.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out these other great clips from Watch Mojo and subscribe for...
So yeah, I think Alex Jones brings up a lot of factual information, but he says it in such a ridiculous way because he knows that's how he gets views. That's how he gets people to listen to him, is by being entertaining. Like, he doesn't want to sit there and be like, I'm humdrum and just talk about the information. Because he wouldn't be Alex Jones if he did that. He wouldn't be famous. It's like he has to act like that in order to market himself to be successful. Unfortunately, honestly, like a big criticism of Jones is that he's taken the wind out of the sails of people that are trying to discover truth. Because now when the average person looks at someone who's into truth, they think of Alex Jones. So it's like he did almost too good of a job. So he's done some damage there, man. He's done some damage with like discrediting, you know, people who critically think. He really has. But other than that, I still think he's a good guy. And he's had a lot of unfair criticism thrown at him. He's had to pay millions of dollars just for speaking his mind, using freedom of speech to talk about the you-know-what incident that I can't really talk about on YouTube, abbreviated SH. He had to pay millions for that. And it's like he wasn't inciting violence or anything. It wasn't like, declaring fire in a theater and causing panic. He didn't do anything to violate free speech or really defamation, in my opinion. It was a total kangaroo court. And he lost. So, all right. I guess that's all I got to say, and I'll see you next time.